everyone, welcome back to my Minecraft Bedrock commands tutorial series. In this episode we're going to be going over advanced camera commands. If you haven't already seen it, I'd recommend watching my first two episodes on the camera command. The first video goes over the basics of the camera command, and the second one goes over all the ease types that you can use with the camera command in Minecraft Bedrock. Well, there's no time like the present, so let's get started. The first advanced command that we're actually going to cover is the one you just saw in the introduction, and how I'm able to use a camera that tracks my movement. Inside this repeating command block, we have this command, and I'll break it down step by step. We first start with /camera, we then have our target selector. In this situation, I'm targeting all players with the tag camera. This way I can easily turn it off and on, and I'm not permanently stuck struggling to deactivate a lever. We then set the camera type to Minecraft:3. By next using an ease type, we get that smooth following transition. We then set the ease to 0.1. This moves the camera really sharply, but still keeps that smooth rather than snapping if I wasn't using an ease type. And the type we use is linear, because rather than the other types that might bounce or slow down or speed up, linear keeps it smooth throughout the entire transition. I then set the position of that camera to one block above the command block by using relative coordinates. And because I'm the only player within this world, I use facing at A. If you wanted to get a bit more specific with the players and the facing, you could also use the execute command. If you'd like to know more about the execute command, you can find that in another episode, but we will be covering more on that in a little bit. Now when I activate this lever, nothing happens because I don't have the tag yet, but by adding the tag to myself, which you can find out more about again in another episode, you can see it immediately changes to this position. If I tap F1, everything goes off my screen. Alternatively, if we use the game rule of command block output and set it to false, in a moment we'll see that all of those messages disappear. And now we're just left with this smooth transition. And now, rather than struggling to hit that lever, I can run the tag command to remove camera. Our next advanced camera command allows us to take the perspective of another entity. I'm going to simply activate this lever, which now means that I have the perspective of the sheep in a third person view, and I'll always follow it just a little bit behind. To achieve that, inside this command block we have the following command. This does actually use an execute command, so at first we do execute as, then we enter the target selector for the entity that we want the perspective of. In this situation, I'm doing it to any sheep within a radius of 20. We then set the execution location to our original target. We then run camera command, which will focus on any player with the tag camera, once again setting it to Minecraft:3, and then we use the ease 0.1 linear to get that smooth transition once again by setting pause and then using the chevrons. Rather than it being relative coordinates of north, east, south and west, it sets those relative coordinates to the rotation of our original target entity, that being the sheep. We then have the player's camera face 2 blocks in front of the sheep, and now when we flick this lever, we enter the perspective of the sheep. Once again with this command, when I run the lever, we get this third person view, and it also rotates vertically and horizontally for us. This once again uses an ease camera command that looks a little bit like this. We once again start with execute as, except this time the execute of the command is going to be any player with the tag of camera. The location it will then be run at is set by doing at s, so that it's run at each individual player. Next up we have run camera at s, so that each player is changing its own camera. We then use an ease type again. We then set it to Minecraft:3, and once again with the ease at 0.1 and linear to give that smooth transition, and a position using those chevron coordinates once again to give it relative to the rotation of the player. Then we do facing and tilde coordinates that are 2 blocks and 1 block to the side of the player. This allows us to focus on a point in front of the player rather than directly on the player, giving that proper third person over the shoulder view. And once again, when I run the lever, it just gives this unique perspective that can be great for games. We can also create some cinematic moments by combining different camera commands. If I press this button, I've preset it to create the cinematic feel that focuses on one area of the game. Which returns us back to our original view and makes it look like a bit of a cutscene. I won't necessarily go over each command here, but I'll show you some of the ideas and how the command blocks work together. If you want to know a bit more about command blocks and how we've chained these, that is in another episode. In our first command block, you can see we've got camera at A, fade, and then we've set our time so that fades for 1 second in, holds for 1 second, 1 second out, and then setting the colour to 000 means that the screen is black. Importantly, we've got the redstone set to needs redstone and unconditional. This is our trigger command block and starts the entire thing by fading us into black. This command block then points into a chain command block which is triggered after this, and we've got that set to conditional, and our redstone is always active so it doesn't rely upon the block. Most importantly, at the bottom we've got delay and ticks set to 20. This means it won't trigger immediately, instead it will wait 20 ticks, which is equal to 1 second. As we saw before, it takes 1 second for our screen to go completely black. The actual camera command is pretty simple, and if you're watching this video you should understand what's going on here. We set the camera as Minecraft free with a position closer to our target area and then facing what we want to look at. It therefore might not come as too much of a surprise that our next command block is set to conditional, always active, and has a delay of 20 seconds and sets a different position and facing value, creating that static look. We then have another command block with a fade command set to 80 tick delay, allowing us to once again see that perspective, and once again that triggers into another one with a 20-second delay, which creates an initial static shot. This however then goes into a camera command with an ease type. This allows us to create that panning look from a different perspective where it ends. This time we're using an ease that takes 5 seconds. That then goes into another fade camera command, and that's once again also set to 80 ticks. It's set as 80 ticks instead of 100 because it takes 1 second for the camera to fade. Therefore, by the time the camera has come to a stop, the camera has faded completely to black. And our final camera command clears all cameras and therefore leaves the player back in their initial set camera. With all of those camera commands combined, we create that cinematic feel. Our next advanced camera command allows you to create these cinematic feels and give a different perspective. This can be really cool for walking down long corridors, such as this. And it just makes it feel a little more cinematic and a little more epic in my opinion. This is achieved with a combination of 2 repeating command blocks. The first one is a test for command using relative coordinates. If you'd like further explanation of this, I suggest checking out the episode that I did on this so that I don't need to cover it again. However, when a player is detected within those coordinates, it activates this redstone comparator, which triggers this other command block. This command block then does an execute command at all players within that specific location and changes the camera perspective to one that follows them, as we've done before. These relative coordinates are then set so that we have multiple of these running all the way down and those areas don't overlap. And our final one, when detected, clears all camera types, setting the player back to a normal view. And our final advanced camera combination creates something a little bit different. When I flick this switch, we get this completely different action. But the great thing is, this is no longer triggered, so I can once again, if I remove a different tag, we can see it does happen again. In this one, we're using this test for command block that tests for a player with the tag true, but as long as they don't have the tag false. When it detects this, it then does a redstone comparator output into this chain. Each of these only trigger for players with the tag true, and as long as they don't have false. Our first one turns off the input permissions for our players. If you'd like to know more about input permission, you can find that in another episode. We actually run this multiple times from different perspectives, giving a different view, and this just runs around the player. But at the end, we go into a fade, once again go into black as we did with an earlier example. We then tag any player with true and without false to then have the tag false. This way, this camera command only can ever run once for each player. We then run an input permission command to return their movement to them, and our final command clears all camera. The idea behind this is so that if a player achieves something or enters a location for the first time, they can have this different camera run. When run alongside sounds, it can be really impactful within mini games. So once again, when we run this, it looks a little bit like this. And that's all we've got time for today. Hopefully you've got a bit more of an idea how you can combine camera commands to create unique perspectives for your players. If you're looking for a specific camera control or you've got any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. But until next time, take care and may your picks never break. Whoop. Oh, that didn't work.